My name is Adi, and just like you, I am here on planet Earth to support an amazing process. We call it ascension, and that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is bringing the Earth into her rightful alignment with the galaxy. And when the Earth is realigned with the galactic spiral of evolution, she also returns to the web of life and love. This is basically what this is all about. Once upon a time, a very long time ago, that some of us actually experienced and remember, and maybe many of us experienced, but maybe not remember, the Earth was disconnected from the web of love and light. Now, this is a huge deal. If you look at a spider web, which really, it permeates all of creation, and that's why our ancient people called our cosmic mother nature the weaver, or the spider grandmother, the spider woman. So when you look at the spider web, of course you want the spider web to be beautiful fabric. You want it to be intact, harmonious, have beautiful geometries. And when there is a hole, or where there is a rip in the web, the information doesn't flow, the love doesn't flow, the light doesn't flow. And that's what happened to our world. We get disconnected for many different reasons, and we have been in the disconnect until recently and still now, and yet we are reconnecting. The Earth herself is reconnecting, and it is her desire to reconnect. And the only way this is possible, it's because of the cycles within cosmos, within galaxy, within universe, within the solar system. Cycles is really what defines nature. Just like here on planet Earth, when you look at cycles, you understand all of them are natural cycles. The only unnatural cycle we have here on planet Earth is the way that we measure time, obviously, and that is part of the big disconnect. The entire process that humans call ascension is a process where we realign with our true nature. And not only us, but the entire planet realigns with her true nature. One of the things that Divine Mother has been teaching us over the years is that within the Earth is a tree of life. And that when this misalignment happened, what some people in religions call the fall from grace, it tilted the axis mundi, the axis, the tree of life within the Earth, and the crown no longer could reach to these other cosmic dimensions and galactic dimensions, and hence humans lost connection with what is the true divine reality of creation. That also tilted, of course, the entire tree of life within the Earth. And so what again the mystics and Mother Earth herself calls the axis mundi was misaligned. This alignment is again what is desirable and what is actually going to happen now. And we are all assisting by aligning our own axis. So when we align our own being, which is always the number one thing, we are tiny little particles on this Earth. So when the particles align, the Earth can also align. So it's definitely a relationship. We are in a relationship with the Earth, and the Earth is in a relationship with us. The Earth wants, because she's a cosmic being really of grandiose proportions, she wants to be where she belongs. She knows where she belongs. Gaia, Sophia, whatever names we have for her, Mu, many different names. Let's call her Mother Earth for now. She used to be once as a beautiful queendom of bountiful nature. And this was very unique because the original design of the Earth was to create a planet where we could have so much bounty of nature. And the expression of nature in the physical reality is an expression of love. It is an ecosystem of love where we have thriving for all, where we have oneness, where we have collaboration. And of course, we have the understanding that all life is sacred. And as you can imagine, what happened through these different distortions, we ended up in a world of separation where life is no longer sacred and has not been sacred for a very long time in human terms. And so again, all of this, I think it's important to understand that ascension is not so much about humankind, it is so much more about the earth, and that is the cosmic event that returns the earth to where she belongs. And there are many of us here who traveled from the future, even though that sounds very futuristic. But if you are here right now assisting this planetary process of healing, I bet that you came from what we call future. So the web of cosmic creation that is made of love light, that's exactly what it feels like. That's how information travels. It is almost like if you looked at maybe even the human brain and you see how the neurons are connected through synapses and they communicate. And so in the web of love and light, it is the same thing in cosmos. So you have worlds that communicate through the web. And so communication and exchange of information is really important, because when our brain functions to its full capacity, we achieve whole new level of being. The same with cosmos. Cosmos is always looking to kind of transcend its own being. So transcendence is a state that is very natural. Transcendence, it is kind of growth, and it is infinite. And so when cosmos manages to exchange all information within itself through this web, then it can transcend itself and find a new state of being. So it's kind of like cosmos becomes more and more enlightened. And so when we have this part of the world where information is not flowing, then obviously there is a disconnect. So the desire for the earth is to once again be part of it and to be able to share information just like many other worlds do share. So that's basically our destiny. Now, a big part of all of this is also our own journey within it. And that is, can we become a collective? Can we actually become reconnected as a family of humanity? And not only that, it is also for us to reestablish our natural relationship of love and reverence with nature. So advanced civilizations in this cosmos, when you visit and you talk to them telepathically, they will share with you that they found the most efficient way to exist. And that is, they mimic nature. And some people in this world think that that would be very primitive if we suddenly started to mimic nature, because, hey, we disconnected from her, we have technologies. And yet, every timeline I have visited, I'm going to say personally, where humans disconnected from nature and they just followed technological advancement, they actually end up destroying themselves. But quite sadly, of course, they also damage the earth, and even some timelines, they destroy the earth. And so we traveled from these futures to be here now, kind of in the past, which we know that can happen as we always have been traveling through time. And it is really the web that we travel through. So the web itself is the web of time. It is the web of nature. And it is cyclical. It is created by the movement of cosmos. It is created by the movement of all the different planets and star systems and solar systems and so on and so on. And so it is natural that beings who, know how this all works, they can travel through time, they can go in future and past. And so we are here kind of in the past of the earth, and we are actually making a difference to prevent those other timelines that would lead to destruction. This is really important. It is not about some primitive, technologies that we need to, again, go back to and actually without technology. It is actually about mimicking nature. And when we create technology, which of course is also useful and it is used in universe, it is used in the cosmos by advanced beings, they all build technologies that mimic nature. And all the technologies are built to be completely aligned with the love light nature of nature. And so this is what we need to do now. We are here on a very important mission, and that is to return humanity to this natural relationship. It is the natural relationship with love, natural relationship with the body, natural relationship with time as cycles, natural relationship with all of nature, animals, of course, which was one of the biggest disconnects on this planet, right? It was this, like, the humans felt so superior to everything else and exploited every other part of life. And so the task is big because, as you know, when one part of the universe or cosmos gets destroyed, it is like having a stroke. You really can't go back. And so once you have a stroke in the universe, it damages that part of the universe. So things like Star Wars, did they happen? Yes. And they did happen, for example, in our own future. And so those are the things where humans misuse energy, for example, nuclear energy, and they just blow up a planet. And we don't ever want to get to that, even though that already kind of happened and we are in the past now reverting it. So timelines, they are very interesting. And for those of you who are time travelers, which I know many of us are, we know that we are also so-called weavers. That means we go back in time and we repair the fabric of reality. Now, Divine Mother gave us an amazing tool, and that tool is simple. It is to chant Om to repair this fabric of reality, the web of really love light, but also the web of time. So whenever you feel like it, please do chant Om and have others chant Om with you. And I think if we had a large collective on this planet chanting Om, we can definitely repair this beautiful fabric of reality on a global scale. So it is really important that we understand all of this, because then everything that we do in life really matters. Which car we buy, which technology we use, how much technology we allow for our children, how much nature we expose our own being to, how much nature we introduce into the lives of our little ones, and then which schools we want to send them to. And do we want to have schools where they sit in a building on, behind a desk on a chair all day long and just listen to someone who speaks nonsense? So those are big questions. And of course, our entire society is upside down. It is disconnected from nature in so many different ways. So how do we reconnect to nature? So first of all, I would think from all that Divine Mother has been sharing with us over the years is the number one simple things, just spending time in nature. And then, really even the way that we have our shoes with plastic disconnecting us from the electromagnetic field, it is important to be barefoot and to at least have a few minutes of connection. The other thing that Divine Mother always teaches is to connect consciously with trees, to embody the tree of life within, and to have friends that surround us as trees, and not to treat them like something we can just cut down anytime we want some space for something. We actually communicate with trees because they are amazing teachers of humanity. They are specifically here to teach us about our own nature, and they contain amazing wisdom. And when we commune with trees, I know that people laugh at like tree hugging, but actually it's really important to commune with trees and to ask them big questions. The more we communicate with nature, and actually that's a very ancient art of very advanced beings. The most advanced beings that I have seen in the universe where I travel out of body is beings who communicate with nature. The ones who communicate with nature understand the mystery. And that's really a simple way for us to start communicating with nature and greeting nature every time we are outside, speaking to birds, speaking to rocks, speaking to the earth, speaking to the air, speaking to the sun. And when we show that we are so awake that we actually remember the truth about nature, she starts speaking back to us. So it starts with little things, walking outside barefoot, communicating with trees and all of nature. But then, she always responds. And she starts responding by sending you signs. And one of the first signs that for me, when I started communicating with her consciously and every day, was dragonflies. And so then when you see a dragonfly, you greet her and you say, "Hey, Divine Mother, how are you doing today?" And, she might even come and sit on you and communicate with you. And I always say this is not a fairy tale and it is not a primitive way of being. It is actually the most advanced way of being, is to be in this communion with the manifested divine. Now, that's one way to start. And then, of course, to adjust, to be in tune with her. That means getting away from all the chemicals, from all the things that we would call negative technology, and to aligning the body so that the body can again be a multi-dimensional communication device through which we can travel to all dimensions and visit these worlds, communicate with other beings. And to me, this is about, we are so powerful. And once we realize it within our own being, then there is no limit. And the only limit actually is our own consciousness. So wherever our consciousness is, that's where it will take us. So let's say that first you start seeing things that you might not even like around yourself, like demons and entities. Usually it is in our own emotional body, in our own mental body, that first we have to go through. And you can imagine all the negative thoughts we had in this lifetime, all the negative feelings we had in this lifetime. And then, once we expand our awareness a little bit and we might find some demons and entities in our own body, it's not so much that they are external. It's quite a bit that they are actually internal. And once we purify the consciousness to get through this layer that actually might feel a little scary, and that's why some people, when they die, they perceive themselves to be in hell. It is our own hell that we created, because truly, let's be honest, human mind and human emotions have not been all that clean. And so that's one step that we need to take, is to purify our own consciousness, and only we can do it. No one else can do it for us. So the consciousness purification is the next step. And Mother Nature can assist with that. We can give her all that we find within ourselves and purify, cleanse. We can use crystals, we can use chanting, we can use nature, and so on. Everyone will find a different way to do that. But then once we get, away from the human kind of dirt, we can expand our consciousness to become more and more and more and more kind of cosmic, galactic, but eventually absolutely cosmic, and align with all that is. And that is our goal, to expand our consciousness into the light that exists all around throughout cosmos. And even though cosmos is really big, it is possible to expand our consciousness to that kind of unlimited being. It's a beingness with all that is, without any limitations. And so that's the fun part, and that's the fun journey. And from that, we can come back into this physical reality and bring all that amazing cosmic natural knowledge back. And so this knowledge is always kind of, I would say, it's the same knowledge, and it's the same. Nature is supreme, and that's it. Follow nature, and if you follow nature, you can never be led astray. And it's in little things, and of course in this world, again, we can do small things like introducing more plants into the house, building with natural materials, finding natural resources, and so on and so on. So the more we align with nature, the more also our consciousness becomes natural. And that means expanded and divine without any limitations. So enjoy the journey.